Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Blitz. It is Sunday morning. It is week 5. We are once again competing with a London game, which is not much of a game. So hopefully we're going to see a few of you guys here in about 30 seconds. Whew, that thing almost deserves to get played twice in a row just to how awesome it is. How are we doing this morning, Jeff? It's Sunday morning. What's going on, my man?
Hey, man. Always good to be around. My favorite morning of the week. We're short Joseph, but you got myself and Mikey ready to take on some questions, and let's get this thing rolling.
Absolutely. Our man Joe's still out. He had to do a whole wedding thing this weekend, and gotta love it. Much appreciative of everything he does for us because we definitely miss him this morning. That said, we're going to go ahead and kick this thing off here. What we do here is live start, set advice, guys. Get your questions in the bottom. We'll go ahead and answer them. We'll do our best to break them down. We'll do our best to try to kind of maneuver this with two guys because it gets a little bit trickier with two guys because when both of us disagree, which we do constantly, it kind of leaves you in a lurch. So hopefully with just the analysis that we're going to be able to drop down, it'll help you make good decisions. For starters, we're going to go ahead and kick off the injury report. We got likely to play. We got Derek Carr. He's out. He's going to be in. Likely to play. Jimmy Garoppolo cleared concussion protocol. Kenny Pickett's looking like he's playing. Kieran Williams with the hip. Miles Sanders with the groin. Zay Jones is out there. Rashad Bateman with the hamstring, and Jonathan Mingo with the concussion. All those guys expected to play. Game time decisions, we got Aaron Jones with the hamstring, Javonte Williams with the quad, Ramondre Stevenson with the thigh. We got the plus sign there because it's looking like he's probably going to be in today. Justice Hill with foot hamstring, Devontae Adams with the shoulder, Odell with the ankle, and then likely out today, Saquon Barkley doesn't look like he's going to play. Jahmyr Gibbs looks like he's out. Amon-Ra St. Brown also out. T. Higgins won't be playing. Treylon Burks out for sure. Juwan Johnson with the calf issue will be out. And then we got two guys on a snap count today. Welcome back, Jonathan Taylor. Welcome back, Jameson Williams. I don't know. We'll see a whole lot of questions with those guys today, but we'll go ahead and lead off this show right now. Jeff, what do you think about playing Jonathan Taylor or Jameson Williams today? Are you in? Are you going to be putting them in? Jonathan Taylor just cleared a massive contract. Congratulations on getting paid, my man. What do you think here?
This might sound weird, but I'd be more likely to play Jameson Williams than it would Jonathan Taylor. I don't know. Taylor's been out for a little bit. He had a monster year, 2021, very disappointing year last year. We can't really know what to expect from him. Not that we know what to expect from Jameson Williams, but what I can say is that the Lions, for whatever reason, always seem to be. I think they're playing. Are they playing at home today, Mike? Yes, they're playing at home against Carolina. They always seem to throw the ball better. At least Goff does much better at home. With Amon-Ra St. Brown out, I have to think there's got to be another go-to target besides Josh Reynolds. So, again, you might disagree, but I have to think, in my mind, Jameson Williams maybe is a little bit of a better play than Jonathan Taylor. So I guess we'll see.
There's a lot of things I like about Jonathan Taylor, and this week it just doesn't seem to fit the mold for what I want to see out of this guy, because the things I want to see out of Jonathan Taylor is what his usage is going to be, particularly in the red zone. When you look at what that quarterback does off that offense and what they can do offensively, I don't think that there's going to be a whole lot of room for Jonathan Taylor to enhance what they've already been doing. I mean, they're leading the AFC North, right? Oh, AFC North or South. Sorry, goodness sakes. My brain still hasn't woken quite up yet. I'm sorry. I still got baby brain. But yeah, no, they're still on top. They're a very good football team. Getting Jonathan Taylor added on will help. But I think it's going to be one of those things where it's going to be kind of hard to see where he's going to be able to apply himself in this team because, again, I think red zone looks are going to be constantly going to be Anthony Richardson. I think he's going to be the guy that sprints that football in. I don't think it's going to be handed to Jonathan Taylor style type thing. So that said, I think Jameson Williams is a pretty solid play. They say he's only going to get 20 snaps today. I feel like if he can turn that into 3-4 catches, he could probably do some damage up to like 60, 50, or 50 to 60 yards and a touchdown. I think that might be okay. So,
and I'll say this about the Colts. They're kind of in that realm of like the Giants or teams like that. What is their offense? You know, we know what the Philly offense is. We know what the Chiefs offense is. We know what the San Francisco 49ers offense is. There's a lot of teams out there that we know when you bring up the team's name, you know exactly what they are. What the hell do the Colts do? And I brought up the Giants. What the hell do the Giants do? It's one of those things where nobody can really explain it. I don't think they know their offense yet, so it should be interesting moving forward.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. They definitely yet to set that identity out there or do anything to make you think exactly what are they going to do. So until I can see how they apply him to this offense, I'm really not comfortable. Now, will I be flexing him in certain situations? You know, I mean, you're going to find with bye weeks coming on this week and everything like that, other injuries hitting and things of that nature, you're going to find yourself having to play Jonathan Taylor, which I feel like is an okay problem to have. I just don't know if it's going to net you the results you're going to think you're going to get with Jonathan Taylor just right out the gate. Speaking of right out the gate, we got our man Trans-Siberian. It says, hey, guys, standard Dubs, Dell, Myers. He goes, please give me 2. He needs to split going against Fields and Moore in another match. Yikes. That's probably not a good start right there. Standard, what did they get you, though? Like 14 points? I don't know. Standard scoring always cracks me up by comparison to some of the leagues I'm in. But what do you think right here, Jeff?
Yeah, well, that's a tough one. And going up against Fields and Moore, I hate to say this, brother, but I can't see you winning that one. But having said that, if I'm going 2 out of 3, I like Myers at home versus Green Bay this week. I don't. For Houston's an interesting one. They're at Atlanta. We've seen some flashes from Dell, so I still think he and Nico Collins have been great, and then some other games not all that fantastic, but I think more so than Romeo Doubs. So I would say Dell and Myers on my end.
Yeah, I like what Jacoby Myers is doing, and I especially like what he does with Garoppolo out on the field. So give me Myers, and Tank Dell, I think, has himself another decent week this week. I think he's been getting involved enough where I play him over Dubs. That said, every time we tell you to sit Dubs, he scores 3 touchdowns. So do with that what you will there, Trans-Siberian. It's good to see you again, buddy. And I apologize. I am drinking Dr. Pepper this morning. Whoops, that's not what we were trying for right there. We got another question over here. We got Goozer to Bruiser. And I kind of modified this question because he already played Cook. He's got McCaffrey. So we're playing those 2 definitely. But we got 2 wide receivers and a flex to pick out of these guys. We got Waddle, Pittman, Nakua, or Breece Hall. What do you think here, Jeff? What are you going with on this guy?
So let's see here. So let me see, make sure I understand the question. He already has Waddle and Pittman. He's just looking for the other.
Yeah,
he's just looking for.
We put Puka Nakua over Pittman and flex Breece Hall. I mean,
I see.
Here as well.
So that's an interesting one. I do like the Waddle and Pittman. I like Pittman this week. He's certainly come out as the number 1 receiver there in Indy. I like the matchup against Tennessee. Not the greatest. They had a good run defense, not necessarily the best pass defense, but and we know what Miami can do. So I think Waddle is a great option. Nakua is an interesting one because he's also been a great option. But with Cooper Kupp coming back, who knows how much he's going to be, if that's going to take away from his targets. We'll kind of see what happens there. I'd have to say, just because of that fact, I like him to stick with Waddle and Pittman. And Breece Hall, at this point, I just can't go with anybody on the Jets until they can prove they can do anything on offense that's relevant.
I kind of disagree with you on this one because I do like Waddle and Pittman, but my Waddle love is not as big as it is for my Puka Nakua. Now, yes, Cooper Kupp is back. I think that you see him enhance that role. I think you see both of these guys be able to play with each other, still gain quite a bit of targets. I mean, you got Matt Stafford who's throwing 41, 50, 40 plus times a game. I mean, it's not within the realms of possibility both of these guys could be productive. Who's really been disappointing this year is Jalen Waddle. He hasn't done anything that I think that you should be doing out there as far as production goes. He doesn't seem to be finding his way in a lot of opportunities or anything like that. So I think that Waddle is the guy I'm benching here. I think I'm going to go with Puka and Pittman at wide receiver, and I think I'm flexing Breece Hall against that solid, scary Denver defense. Where I think they've probably already got 3 pre-touchdowns just based on the matchup right there. We got Agu Afondu says, hey, Goozer, yeah, no, thanks for checking your lineup. Yeah, excellent, man. We just got over that that question right there. We hope we helped you out with that. I hope, like I said, I mean, Jeff and I both don't see eye to eye on this one, but hopefully the analysis right there helps you make a better decision as far as your team goes, because I think it's a pretty slam dunk play getting Breece Hall in there on the flex. CBB Charlie 17 says super deep full PPR league with bye week problems. He says start 2 or 3 of these. We got Khalif Raymond, Kendrick Bourne, Marvin Mims. What do you think, Jeff?
Oh boy, I tell you, that's an interesting one. Right off the bat, I know this might sound weird, but I do like Kendrick Bourne. If I'm picking between Raymond and Mims, I'm slightly leaning Mims just because he seems to. I think he had an off week last week, but he's actually been halfway decent the previous few weeks before that. I get it. It's with your boys there in Denver, not exactly an offense that's been burning it up. But if I'm going 2 or 3, I'm saying Bourne and Mims.
And I'm going to have to throw a disagreement in here again. We got Khalif Raymond, who is literally the only Detroit Lion that doesn't have a Q or an I or an O or a D next to his name today. So like we've got Jameson Williams coming in there on a snap count. We got Reynolds coming in there that's going to be the wide receiver 1, a role he doesn't necessarily excel with. So give me Khalif Raymond in the secondary position there in Detroit. And I think I've got to go with Kendrick Bourne because he's been getting more involved. I just really haven't liked a whole lot of what I've seen out of Denver this season. And that Jets defense is about the only thing that makes sense over there as far as it goes, in my opinion anyways. I don't think the Jets are good by any means, but I don't think they're as bad as Denver.
I will say this, and I brought it up last night. Yeah, I get it. The Jets defense is solid this year, but their offense hasn't stayed on the field long enough for to make anything happen as far as and all that's going to do is keep the other offense on the field and tire that defense out a little bit. That's why I'm kind of leaning. Another reason I'm leaning that way. But anyways,
right, and that's completely fair, man. Going to the volume play is never a bad idea in fantasy football. It's just like I said, what are you going to get for that volume? And it just because Denver doesn't know how to stay on the football field for very long either. So I think this is. I mean, I wish we could do a points per punt league because this sounds like the matchup made in heaven for.
Well, it seems like Mike, you muted over there. Or maybe there we go.
There we go. Can you hear me now? I'm not entirely sure exactly what happened. It said something about something. I don't know. Here we go. We need to start 3. Cooper Kupp, Nakua, Garrett Wilson, Hill. Who do I sit? Also start 2 running backs. Well, we'll just go ahead and break that one down first. Who are we sitting in that group?
And by Hill, is he talking Tyreek Hill?
I think that's the only guy we're talking about right here.
Dude. Wow, those are hell of an option right there. I mean, I would say Kupp, Wilson, and Hill. Don't get me wrong, I really like Nakua. I just I'd be reluctant to start 2 guys from the same team. And I just bagged on the Jets offense, but Wilson is really the only relevant receiver. And I can see him maybe getting in the end zone, as you brought up, against that anemic Denver defense. So, and Tyreek Hill, I mean, good. You can't sit that guy. So I mean, so if I'm leaving somebody off there, it's going to be Nakua, but reluctantly.
And oddly enough, this is one I'm actually going to agree with you on. Zach Wilson did show a little bit of spark. He showed a little bit of flash last week. And the one target that was kind of consistent throughout that whole ordeal was Garrett Wilson. So I can't sit somebody of his talent because if his young quarterback's going to be able to find anybody out there on the football field, it's going to be this guy. So, and I think with Breece Hall being off of a pitch count, I think that's really going to help this team out. And I think it's going to be a get-right game for the Jets because they're playing a team that's very soft in the Denver defense. Like I said, I mean, this will either be highly explosive or highly just punt fest friendly. In the second half of this question, who do we say also start two? Running backs. We got Kieran Williams. We got Devin Achane, or Brees Hall. Standard scoring. Who are you sitting right here, Jeff? We're starting two. Who we sit?
I'm sitting Brees Hall. Reason being is I think Kyron Williams has been a great option there or for the Rams and Achane. And here's something I saw this morning as far as fantasy points are concerned, total fantasy points over the last 2 weeks, that Achane, however you pronounce his last name, has actually outscored Christian McCaffrey. So that guy's on fire. I would stick with the hot hand. So I would say him and Williams. I'm starting, leaving Hall on the bench.
Yeah, no, I think that's true. I think I can't sit Achane actually. I like him a lot. I think he's getting used a lot. I think against the Giants defense, I like it even more. Brees Hall off the pitch count, standard scoring or not, he looks amazing this year when he's getting the opportunity. Kieran Williams is my sit here just because, like I said, I think that the volume, if it wasn't Garrett Wilson, I don't mind starting Kupp and Nakua in most instances. Like, I feel like that's a one, like, again, we're talking about a guy that's throwing the ball 40 times. Even if you give Taylor Higbee 10 of those targets, that's still 30 targets to go around between all of these guys. And it's not really been an outlet pass situation for Stafford. Stafford's been dropping back and dropping bombs. So we're getting to see it happen with those receivers. And I mean, Tutu Atwell was fantasy relevant. What makes you think that Kupp and Nakua can't be? But again, Garrett Wilson is just too good to bench. I just can't. I drafted him too high. He may still be able to show what his results are worth, because Zach Wilson does look like he might be playing with a tiny bit more confidence than he was in the weeks previous. If he can keep confidence going, man, that guy can at least be garbage time relevant at the very least. We got at NFL Fantasy Morning. He says, should I start Wan'Dale Robinson, Josh Reynolds, or Josh Downs full PPR? What do you think, buddy?
I like Josh Reynolds, and we discussed it a little bit earlier because I'm on Ross St. Brown is sitting down. Detroit's at home. Jared Goff is a much different quarterback at home than he is on the road. His passer rating is probably, I think it's a little over 20 points higher. So, and Josh Reynolds kind of being the top option there, I'm saying him.
Yeah, I completely agree on this one as well. What we got going on there is Josh Reynolds is just going to be seeing a huge opportunity. Now, again, I just said earlier, too, that he does not do as well from the wide receiver one position as he does out of the wide receiver two, being the guy that complements Amon-Ra St. Brown instead of being the guy that takes the majority of the focus off of it. So I don't like him as much, but I do like him a lot better than the other guys here, that the opportunity that they have. We'll go to the next one here. We got our man, maybe, if this thing would go, Randy Russell, which looks exactly like Trans-Siberian. Says, Jeff looking clean, fresh, and Mikey living up to his Twitter handle. I love it, man. We're on team zero sleep here over here at my house. We just had a baby here on Tuesday, and it's been crazy ever since. So not a whole lot of sleep going on. Definitely dirty, definitely needing a shower and a shave and all kinds of fun stuff.
And to be fair, man, I got a solid 9 hours last night. So, I mean, I feel for you over there, kid.
Yeah, no, it's funny because you always make sure to point that out, and I am always envious of your situation because there is not an opportunity where I wouldn't do the same exact thing to you if I had the opportunity, because you don't have, people have kids and they sit there and always talk about how wonderful they are, but nobody really ever sings about the unsung heroes of the people that get to sleep, get to go do what the hell they want. Like, what are you doing tomorrow? Who knows? Because it doesn't matter. You're not going to be doing anything on anybody else's schedule. I've already got my whole next freaking 14 years planned out because of this nonsense, buddy. So, yeah, I thought it was you, Trans-Siberian. I was like, man, that looks an awful lot like our guy, Trans-Siberian up there. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. Definitely. Yeah, she's fun, man. She's definitely making things interesting over here at the house. Make sure, guys, if you have any questions out there, drop them in here. We'll get right to them. The live questions get handled first. These are the questions we're picking up off of Twitter right here. Ones that I see are common enough that I like to get on here because we like to discuss all these and break them down on what we got. We got at DPF Football. He says, Christian Watson or Dameon Pierce, PPR flex. Jeff, what do you think, buddy?
That's an interesting one. I think I'm going to go back to what we've always said in the past. The tie goes to the running back. So Watson is definitely the number one option in Green Bay, and I think he could have a chance to, but I think Dameon Pierce has more opportunity as far from the running back position. So even at a full PPR, which, Watson I could see maybe getting, who knows, 5 catches, 60 yards, or something like that. I think Pierce just has more opportunity than Watson. What do you think?
I agree with this one as well. I think Dameon Pierce is definitely the play. I do like Christian Watson. What I don't like is what I've been seeing out of Love these past couple of weeks. He's a guy that came out pretty heavy, pretty strong. I think when you start seeing guys, and a lot of times with new quarterbacks, they always look good right out the gate. But then once you start getting into a little bit more defensive planning and defensive coordinators getting to look at tape on these people, they get shredded and they get demolished. And I think that's kind of what you're seeing with Jordan Love. He's going to have to rise to this occasion. So with question marks being where they are with that team, I can't really play a wide receiver over a running back who I know is going to at least get 15 carries today. Although those 15 carries might come for 3 yards and he might put you up a 4.5 PPR flex or PPR or not, because he's really not a guy that's receiving a lot of targets. So give me Dameon Pierce, but it's a little closer because of PPR, but not much. Because like I said, I got to see it on that team before I get too excited about anything going on there. We got at Justelli216 says Dameon Pierce versus Atlanta or Kyren Williams versus Philadelphia half PPR. What do you think, Jeff?
That's an interesting one. I'm leaning Kyren Williams just because that's the better offense, and we just discussed opportunity. I know that of the two, Philadelphia has the better defense than versus Atlanta, or if we're talking about Pierce versus Atlanta there. So I would say Williams, I can see him getting, maybe the 70 yards on the ground, perhaps a few catches, and maybe in the end zone once. Dameon Pierce, I don't see him having as much opportunity because they don't have as potent of an offense.
That offense has been playing pretty damn good, I think, with CJ Stroud as far as it goes. I think we got a couple of guys over there that have stood up a lot better than I thought we could. Like Nico Collins has looked really good. Tank Dell has looked really good out there. I think that Dameon Pierce might be the play here because that Philadelphia defense to me is for real. I think that they'll be able to shut down Kyren Williams. And I think they're going to have to pass the ball again. I think this is going to be a shootout. I think we're going to see Stafford throwing the ball close to 50 times today. And I don't think a lot of those are going to be going Kyren Williams' way. I think we're going to be seeing more of a smattering of Puka, Kupp, and Tyler Higbee, because I really, really like all three of those guys this week. Let's see here. Next, we got Zach Stott, Boyd, or Judy PPR for my flex. What do you think?
So let's see here. With T. Higgins out, that obviously leaves the door open for Boyd to kind of fill in the number 2 slot. You talked about it a good amount last night on DFS Chalk Talk about Joe Burrow can't be as bad as he has been, and you would have to assume he's going to be back to fantasy relevant sooner than later. And I can see Boyd getting more opportunity with Jamar Chase getting a lot of attention from the defense. Not that Jerry Jeudy doesn't have some opportunity, but the Cincinnati offense is better than the Denver offense. Give me Joe Burrow more so than Russell Wilson to get Boyd some touches over Jerry Jeudy. What do you think?
I do agree. I think Boyd is the play here. It's not like he's ever really lit it up, even without Jamar Chase and Higgins on the field. But I think, again, volume opportunity and what I talked about last night with Cincinnati being able to bounce back, and what I talked about today already with Jerry Jeudy. I just don't like that Denver offense. They're too stagnant. They're not getting enough done. And it seems like when they are getting things done, it's Cortland Sutton usually, and not Jeudy. Jeudy is the guy between the tackles, but when it comes red zone time, he's not even getting passed up or looked at in the line. So
and plus another thing on top of that is the matchup too. There, you got the Jets defense is much better than Arizona. So if there's a game for Burrow, Boyd, and Chase to kind of get right, I'd have to think that against Arizona would be the game. So I think that's a better matchup too.
Yep. Nope. I love the matchup there as well. Outlaws _350 says full PPR needs one for flex. Christian Watson, Nico Collins, or Zay Flowers. What do you think?
I mean, I've discussed it in the past. I got a short list of my boys. Nico Collins is my boy, man. I know he had one off week, but the guy's been a monster otherwise. Zay Flowers, that Baltimore offense, at least passing wise, has been an enormous disappointment. So not that Zay Flowers doesn't have some talent, doesn't have the opportunity, but Nico Collins has just been a monster there in Houston. And Christian Watson, like you said, Jordan Love hasn't produced too much. Christian Watson is a great receiver, but Nico Collins, man, has just stood above and beyond there as far as what Houston has done offensively.
I think Zay Flowers gets pretty isolated pretty easily by that Pittsburgh defense. Pittsburgh has always been really good at shutting down Baltimore, and likewise, that's going to be a game that I think is very low scoring, very low opportunity. I don't think we're going to see a whole awful lot going on with it. So I don't like Zay Flowers as much as I like Nico Collins and Christian Watson. I mean, I've already beat that guy to death in this one. I'm like, let's go with Nico Collins. Well-deserved. Next up, we got James Fleury. He says Waddle or Collins in the flex PPR. What do you think here, Jeff?
Well, I mean, just piggybacking on what we just talked about with Nico Collins, he's been a monster. Not that I don't like Jalen Waddle. You brought up a good point earlier, though, that he has been off a little bit there. Miami's offense has been rolling, but for some reason, Jalen Waddle has not been part of that rolling. And Nico Collins has just been huge for Houston. I don't see that freight train stopping.
And that's exactly what I think has been going on here. I like CJ Stroud has been delivering above expectations. They haven't really been facing these, tremendous defenses or anything like that. But even against mediocre defenses, he's still been looking good, looking like he can get the ball to these guys. And he looks like he really likes to get the ball to Nico Collins. And when he doesn't, he's able to get it to Tank Dell. That team is they're playing well beyond their paths. It's kind of like Arizona. Arizona's losing football games, but they're losing these games close against teams that should just be demolishing them. I think Houston's playing on a higher level than they should be, which is awesome. So I'm going to ride the high. I'm going to keep going with Nico Collins. And I don't know what it is about Jalen Waddle in this offense this year where he's just not getting the involvement that you think definitely nothing where we got him when he drafted him. But, it's still early in the season. They're still kind of trying to fit some squares together. I mean, look what happened to them last week. They got pasted by Buffalo. They weren't even in that game, right? And right now we're watching Buffalo have a tough time with Jacksonville. It's crazy. It's the NFL. It can just turn on a dime on you. Waddle is a guy to keep, but, man, until I see any further progress coming out of him, I can't play him.
And I'll say, and this has been interesting about the Miami offense. When was the last time you had – forget about one, but I mean, two running backs that have been as fantasy relevant as a Chain and Mostert? I have not seen that out of Miami in God knows how long. So Tyreek Hill is always going to be Tyreek Hill, but you got those two guys in the backfield that have been making it happen. So maybe that's taken away a little bit from Waddle too.
And that could be, and it should be. When you're able to make something go that successfully, why would you veer away from it? But like I said, when you look at the routing they experienced last week, where was Jalen Waddle last week? And that to me is where you're going to start maybe seeing a little bit of an uptick in his usage because you got him. Use him, man. And if you're not going to use him, trade him to Denver, please. Not really though. I would never wish that on anybody at this point in time. Trade him somewhere though. Get him on somewhere where we like a guy. At Beat240178367 for Mostert or Madison half-point PPR. Thanks. What do you think?
That's a hell of a handle to read off there. Well done, kid. So, to me, this is not even close. It's got to be Mostert. I understand that they got, when we just brought up the two running backs there in Miami that have both been putting up numbers, but the fact is they've both been putting up numbers, whereas Madison simply has not. So to me, it's an easy Mostert start in that matchup there.
Yeah, nope. I haven't liked anything I've seen out of Madison yet. Now, does he have the opportunity to do great? Yep. Does he have the volume opportunity to do great? Yep. Does he usually do pretty good with that? Honestly, yes. I mean, when you give him the opportunity in previous years when Dalvin Cook was taking most of the bulk of the carries, anytime you give this guy the carry, he'd look at least halfway decent. But he just hasn't been able to return to that size or form yet. And they're playing the Giants. Give me Mostert all day, every day. And it's not even kind of close, in my opinion. We got at Michael DeVeris 8, because there's 7 others, if you didn't know that, Jeff. Ferguson or Waller? Ferguson is way more involved each week, and so leaning there. What are your thoughts?
So I hate to contradict myself from what I discussed earlier because I really bagged on the Colts first and then I bagged on the Giants. Having said that, he's right. Ferguson has been getting more involved, but it looks like Waller is they're going to start getting him more involved too. And we've seen what Waller can be when he's on his game completely when he was out there in Vegas and otherwise. So I would say Waller, you could probably see, I bet you, half a dozen catches, 50, 60 yards, and maybe a touchdown today. So I'm leaning Waller. What do you think?
I really like Waller a lot today. And I'm going to tell you the same thing I told the other 7, Michael DeVeris. He's gonna have the opportunity here. He should be. How many replays did we watch last week where he had broken away and was wide open and can just not get the looks from Daniel Jones? I think once you drill something into Daniel Jones's head enough, he starts realizing what he's doing out there, and I think he'll be actually maybe throwing him in maybe second, first glance, because who's really else is there to throw to on that organization right now? And especially without Saquon Barkley up there leading the helm. But yeah, no, like I said, we're going to have to go with Waller here. Although I do like what I've been seeing out of Ferguson. I hate his matchup today because they've got the 49ers, and that's just terrifying. At Iggy Madridrio says, start 2, half PPR. Hopkins, Thielen, Flowers. Who you sitting right here, Jeff?
Well, reluctantly, I'm sitting Hopkins. Thielen has turned into the number 1 option. I get it's not exactly the best offense in there in Carolina, but he has put up some big games and it has been getting a good amount of targets. And kind of same thing as far as offense wise in Baltimore with Flowers. He's absolutely the number 1 option there. He has gotten a good amount of targets and touches, and he just hasn't necessarily put up a monster game, but he has that potential. So I'm sitting Hopkins and going with Thielen and Flowers. How about you?
I completely agree with that. I actually it's kind of funny because I didn't like DeAndre Hopkins. I didn't like where he signed to, because I thought he was going to sign to a contender, and this team is anything close. I know that they usually end up because they're kind of like the wrestling Greco-Roman style of winning the UFC, right? Where they choke you out and they somehow always end up winning a few matches enough to be able to, where we're in the discussion for playoffs and things like that. But it's never because of what Ryan Tannehill or anybody else is doing out there, especially with his arm. Thielen has looked really good on a really bad opportunity. And Zay Flowers, like I said, I feel like he's going to get pinned down pretty good today. But I would rather play anything over a Tennessee Titan right now. I just can't. I just cannot do it right now. Not until maybe we start making a change at the helmet quarterback, or maybe throw some excitement on that football team. Again, they win football games, but they're never the clean wins, and they're never fantasy fun wins. At the real Timmy _D London or Jamin D. Oh, sorry. At the real _, he says Drake London or Jamison Williams.
that one threw me off there too with that underscore. So, geez, I'm leaning. We talked about the Lions a good amount last night and this morning. So I'm leaning Jamison Williams just because that Atlanta offense, man. What the hell is the Atlanta offense? We discussed the Colts and the Giants, but I guess I can answer that question, even though I just I prompted the question. But Bijan Robinson is the offense. I mean, let's just face it. So Drake London, yeah, he got in the end zone last week. Has he done really anything otherwise? And from a quarterback standpoint, Atlanta's a mess. So I would say Jamison Williams is the better option or safer option.
It's sad because we've got one guy that's going to be getting 20 snaps today and nothing more than that, right? He's only going to be out there that limit of a pitch count, and I still feel better about his opportunity than I do about Drake London, who will get closer to a 95 to 98% snap share in today's game. And he's just like, I just can't stand what they're doing there. I think Desmond Ridder has been a massive failure. I don't think that we're going to see anything better come out of that offense this year outside of Bijan Robinson. Oddly enough, at the real Timmy _, which also you throw in the underscore in there, makes me really question whether or not you are the real Timmy. Throwing that out there. But I think for me, it's also Jamison Williams as well. That's actually going to wrap us up on those topics. It's another Sunday fun day when we got London football, and especially when you got a good game like the Bills Jaguars going on. It definitely slows down these shows quite a bit. But make sure you guys, if you're following us on Twitter, and you should be, our handles are like literally right there. Just follow us right there. Hit us up on Twitter. Hit us up on anything. Let us know if you got any questions leading up to the game, and we will definitely break them down. Tag us both, and we'll just sit there and argue. Heck, you could probably even tag Joe, and he might even be able to step away from what he's doing today to hop in there and get that done. Jeff, you got anything to add before we go ahead and log out today?
No, just once again, congrats to Joe's little sister Christina on the marriage. We wish you and Paul nothing but happiness. And Mikey, as always, man, geez, congratulations on the new baby. Even though the lack of sleep is hitting you, I'm sure it's good times over there in your household.
Yep, thank you so much, man. I appreciate that. And likewise, man, I likewise agree with good job, Joe. I appreciate you and everything you're doing over there. It sounds like your sister's got herself a heck of a situation going on there. Good for you guys, and we will see you again. Same bat time, same bat channel.